We Claire, and this is NME, and I'm here to talk about Halloween Kills with Jamie Lee Curtis, who plays the legendary Laurie Strode. So, Jamie, what strikes me about this film and with the franchise is that it's about trauma as well as horror. And we've had to see Laurie deal with that trauma for 40 plus years, and now it's infected the community. And I wanted to ask you, because there are some very hard moments in this film that affected me with the community. How fine is the line, do you think, between good and evil in us all, really?
Well, you could right now like run a movie studio. Seriously, I'm
Thank
going to be
you.
calling my friends at Universal and telling Donna Langley to, you know, skedaddle. That as an overview isn't that the great question of every day that we're human beings? It's
100%.
just, I have a saying, when you're looking in the mirror, you're looking at the problem. Like it's like we are the problem. We're also the solution to the problem. It's a really interesting dance that we do with ourselves. The movie is important. This movie is important because, as you said, the 2018 movie focused on Laurie's trauma and the trauma of generational trauma. What happens to a child? What happens to a grandchild? How does that get reconciled?
Mm-hmm.
They don't believe her, then they believe her at the end. They feel terrible guilt. It's beautiful, that exploration. This new movie is all about the concentric circles of all the other people in the town who suffered under the lash of Michael Myers. And not just people who were attacked by him, little Lindsay, little Tommy, Nurse Marion, but even Sheriff Brackett, whose daughter died. The town of Haddonfield is grieving, and the town of Haddonfield is trying to reconcile it. So it's a really exciting movie when you put Michael Myers back alive in the middle of a maelstrom of a growing unease in a town and them taking matters into their own hands. It's very intense.
Sorry to hit you with a serious one to start off with,
No.
but I just found that for me, that disturbed me more than just stabbing. That's more impactful.
By the way, mob violence is disturbing.
100%, I completely agree, and we see it in reality.
Well, exactly, and we've all seen it. Large groups of people enraged. You cannot reason with a mob. You can only fight it or get out of its way. There's really only two choices. And there are always catastrophic damage done by mobs. Always.
I wanted to now just move away from the mob mentality idea, because something that's been very prevalent in my life is the idea, the relationship between mothers and daughters. That touches me. It's very important. I've spent a lot of my life trying to understand that for my own personal reasons. Sure. And here we see Laurie's relationship with her own daughter evolve slightly in Halloween Kills. So I wanted to ask you, as a mother specifically, what did you want to bring to the role this time beyond just being an actor and a producer?
So I think that in the 2018 movie, Laurie would have died happy should she die in the back of that truck. Her daughter and her granddaughter reconciled with her, acknowledged that they believed her. They understood that everything she did was to protect them and selflessly to protect them. And then she also, with their help, trap and kill Michael Myers. I think she could die happy. What's interesting in the next movie is, A, her daughter lies to her, which then causes conflict. But then her daughter and her granddaughter actually become the warriors. Laurie is hurt. She is a wounded warrior. No matter how much you try, she's had a bad wound. She is not the fighter she was. And there's a moment where I really think her granddaughter Allison really becomes the Laurie character in this movie and steps into that role in a very powerful way.
When I look at you, you're incredibly inspiring. You're still creating. You're leading this franchise. You're still working. But I worry, even though we're in modern times, I worry about not being as young in this industry, not being as vital and bright. What would you say to people like me or women like me who are worried about aging and working in this industry?
So it is an ageist industry. There's no question. And there are some jobs that you will lose or some jobs you won't get because of your age. That's a given. Here's what I believe. Creativity will always win out. If you create something, doesn't matter how old you are. If you create something that they want. I think the industry is changing. I do think that there are way more opportunities for women. Many companies, because of the Me Too movement and because of the great changes that have taken place in diversity, requirements of diversity, gender parity in some companies. You know, Ryan Murphy made a declaration that half of every director that he hires has to be a woman. It's called the HALF program. You know, it has to be. You know, there are places which will now, the liability for being a woman your age is actually an asset. But I go back to the creativity, that it's always the creativity. It's always going to be the song that's written, the script that's written, the idea for a TV show that's written, that is new and unique and yours, that they can't take from you.
I wanted to ask you as well, where does Laurie go from here without giving much away? Do you think, we talked about trauma, she can overcome this? And where do you see the future of the franchise?
So there's one more film to make, and I know what it's about, and it's going to blow people's minds open. It's going to make people very angry, and it's going to be shocking because it asks a lot of questions. So that's all I can tell you.
Oh, God damn
Happy
it,
birthday.
Of course. Thank you. Honestly, I thought the movie was really fun, but also very insightful and impactful. Are you quite happy that there's one more movie and then that's it? Do you feel that this is that? I mean, because people will always want more. What would you say to people that want more and more and more?
Well, I signed up because David Green wrote a really interesting script. The last thing I thought I would do is another Halloween movie. I had other stuff I was doing. I was very happy. But I was really impressed with his understanding of not only what happened to Laurie, but then this now trilogy of stories. If another filmmaker comes up with an interesting story to tell, I'm never going to say I'm uninterested in telling that story. I can't imagine it. It's unlikely to me. It would be shocking to me to imagine somebody topping what David Green is doing in a trilogy of movies, all directed by the same person, all made by the same crew, all acted by the same group of people. Like, I would be shocked. But it's not impossible. As I just said to you, creativity is the source. It's the source of all of it. So if somebody comes up with something super creative, I would be happy to join them. I just find it hard to imagine that that's going to occur.
Jamie, I think you've done an incredible job again. It's lovely to speak to you again.
Thank you.
And hopefully next time we might speak in person for the next one. I thought you were brilliant. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for taking the time. Thank you very, very much.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.